Google disconnected the broadcast. Google disconnected the broadcast. I don't know why. So YouTube went down there, but it didn't seem to have a problem on my end here. So YouTube disconnected it. So now I gotta wait a couple minutes for YouTube to be back because it takes that long for it to come back. Now, hold on, guys. When you get a disruption, then okay, we're back. Okay, we're back. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know what happened. There was nothing was happening on my end here. Signal was very good. Periscope was running smoothly until I reconnected, and don't know what happened there. Everything was fine for from my end. Okay, let me just wait for people to get back in here. Okay, let me just wait for people to get back. Hello, Jeff. What's up, buddy? I think you have a new name, right? I think I saw it on Twitter. Otherwise, I would not have recognized that. How are you doing, Jeff? Back from the hospital. Jeff was like in intensive care, so that's really tough. Glad to see you back in action, Jeff. Okay, so are we good to go now on YouTube? Everyone semi back that didn't get irritated by the drop in the broadcast. Sorry about that. Nothing happened on my end. There's no interruption here. You are getting by. Oh, poor guy. Poor guy. Hope you're doing better now. I'm just I was watching you on YouTube and people were talking about you on Brex. So Jeff is our friend and he was very, very ill. So glad to see Jeff back in action again and trying to be funny again on Periscope. Okay, so are we all back in action here on YouTube? So back to what I was saying. I did not do anything on the broadcast. The broadcast is running fine. I'm transmitting here at almost 3 kilobits per second, very high speed. Everything was fine. There was not even a drop, nothing. No drop at all in the signal, and all the problems appear to be elsewhere. So YouTube dropped it. Don't know why. Okay, so everything's actually fine from my end here. Everything was fine. So back to what we're talking about. So Zuck, we got interrupted there, right? So back to what we're talking about, which is Android. So Android, the way, again, to summarize what I just said. So Android, in spite of what people are saying that Android is Linux, and if you think this is Linux, you're pretty zucked up. Do you think this is Linux? Do you think that's running Linux? I mean, my goodness, people, you have to be really sheep to think that this is really running Linux. If you think this is running Linux and you're so proud of it, hey, we don't need any new Linux phone. This Android is running Linux. I just told you that you're being jailed by this platform. This is no similarity to Linux whatsoever. This is more like a jailed platform. So the app is in its jail. It's in a container, and then it runs a specific bytecode called DEX. and it's a virtual machine or a specific jailed container so that they can watch, and everything that you do can be reported with the API that's packaged with your app by Google. So Google has all the APIs that report to Google. If you're using any kind of Google code, which you know you're kind of forced to uh, with Google. In fact, they force you to use a lot of this. So for one, let's say you wanted to use location in your let's say you want to built an app and you want to put location on it. Well, you can't just say I'm going to use location on my app. You're going to say, well, I'm going to use the Google geolocation code, and I'm going to insert into my code because I don't know how to do geolocation, and I don't have maps, and I don't have street view and all this. So I'm going to do it from Google, and then you're going to use the Google stuff in your code. So all you do is say, okay, I'm going to send a location, and I want a little map, and you do that on the Google side. Google takes care of it, and the app looks great. It can find your location, and but it's actually Google that performed that. Okay, so Google did the actual stuff on the app. So now the app has embedded Google code, plus the secret code that I told you, the telemetry that's attached to every app, which is used to report things like app usage, and what account you have on Google Play. So let's say that you're using an account called jeff@gmail.com. That's your account on that's your account on Google, your Google Play account. Okay, so now the moment you get a phone, the phone will force you to enter your Google account. So now they know exactly. Let me just tell you what happens when you do that. So you put the Play Store on your phone, and the first thing they know is what your email is. So I say, Zog, the phone knows my email. Well, they also know your IP address. That should be obvious. We don't need to guess that. But unfortunately, your email address is tied to your Google Play account, which has a credit card number. So then from that, they know where you live, what your full name is, what your phone number is, and so on, because they can check that on the Zucking credit card. So now your phone is now part of this whole infrastructure that connects you to your email address, which they read because it's Gmail. So they read every message that comes into that email account. And to that email account, they know your financial transactions because they have the Google, they have the connection with whatever credit card you attach to it, plus the fact that they can always take that information by agreement with MasterCard, Visa, and American Express, which is widely used by all of these platforms, including Facebook. They actually have an agreement. We'll give you data. You share your data. Tit for tat. You share your transaction data, and we'll give you information about your user on the phone. So all of the tracking on this phone is building up. So now you just thought you just had Android on here, and now suddenly you find out that every time you run any kind of app, that especially if the app uses some code from Google, such as one with location tracking, then you are zucked to such an extent that you don't even know. So this thing is really tracking you like crazy. Now, you do not really have any input to the tracking that's being done, the telemetry on the app side. Neither are you allowed to do anything on your phone without logging in with a Google ID. So they got you trapped right there. They got you trapped. So you're already trapped in here where your behavior is tied to the Google Play Store account and all of the telemetry that's in the app. On top of that, they decide that this phone will be their zucking spy machine. So one of the things that just flusters me is that the phone is used to spot every single router in the world. It's it's it, it it's Wi-Fi scanning. What they do is to build a database of locations. They find out the GPS position of the phone, then and this is a constant thing. It happens every few seconds. Your phone then searches out and finds out all the different routers in the area and what their identities are, serial numbers called MAC addresses. It takes that, matches it to your GPS location and the signal strength, and reports it to Google. Now, this is what they use as their database for building a location database. And it's very, very exact. And basically, every router in the world is in the database. One of the hackers from DEF CON, what's his name? Begins with R. Anyway. So one of these hackers from DEF CON said, I'm going to hack into the Google database and look at this database of all the routers and the locations of each router. And he actually hacked that and showed that at DEF CON. So in case you're doubting that there is a big database of that, let not there be any doubt. In fact, I can write code that can find out my location simply by dropping in the router MAC address of my router or any router around me, and it will spot my location. And the problem with this little location tracking thing that many of you don't really get is that the tracking occurs without your permission. This is not something. Apple does the exact same thing, by the way. So Apple and Google. This tracking or scanning or Wi-Fi scanning of MAC addresses of routers, which is now Facebook is doing the same thing now, is being done. So this is being done by Google, Apple, and now Facebook. Microsoft's probably doing it too. And basically, your Android device is your spy device. All you have to do is walk around with this, and it spots every router that you're nearby, and it actually then knows, you're reporting that you're near this router. Well, that router happens to be, known already to our database as being at Starbucks. So you're at the Starbucks location, or you're at Walmart, you're at the supermarket, you're in jail, you're at the courthouse, you're at the doctor's office, you're at the strip joint, you're at the gay bar, you're at the, whatever, you're at church, you're at the temple, you're at the mosque. They know everything from that, and you did not give that permission. This is not, I want to make sure that you understand what I'm saying here. This is not part of location permissions. This has nothing to do with location permissions. This is in a side channel. This happens in a side channel. This is one of the reasons, this is one of the reasons why I don't want to carry an iPhone or an Android, because do I really need this to know what I ate for dinner? What restaurants I like to go to? Where am I on the street right now? Do I really need an app to do that? So, I find that to be quite unacceptable. It disgusts me. This is not about having location permission. This is about doing something without my permission and tracking me without my permission. Hello, James. So tracking me without my position. Now, let me just compare it to this here, this Ubuntu phone, which some people on YouTube said, well, I'm not interested in an Ubuntu phone. Well, let me just contrast this. Yes, this is an old phone. It's an Nexus 5. And it has some bugs on it. Some of the bugs have to do with Bluetooth. And, there's many little bugs in here and there. But I only have one option here for location, and if I turn it off, it's off. Nothing else can happen to the phone. It's not going to report to Google or Apple. There's no central authority for it to report anything to. So when this phone, when this Linux phone is the location's on and the app will see the location, but no other app will see the location. There's nothing happening on the side. Hello, Tommy. So there's nothing happening on the side. There's no little secret things that are happening without my permission because it doesn't exist on Linux. Linux doesn't have that because you write your own code on Linux. So on Linux, it's a little bit different because you write your code and everything that your program does is based on your code. That is not the way it works on Android or iOS. On Android or iOS, you write your code and then Apple and Google will add their code to your code so that you have this bloatware thing that is doing many, many different things. And it's not necessarily just what you see from the code. So the code is not. Did something happen to Periscope here? My laptop locked up. Hold on a second here. My laptop locked up. Hold on, let me just restart Periscope here. Periscope bombed. Okay, we still here on YouTube? Okay, here we are. We're back. Okay, are we still on YouTube here? Are people on YouTube still on? Okay. Okay, so I'm reloading. It's locked up? I mean, somebody doesn't like me here because there's no network issue. There is no network issue whatsoever. Everything's running fine. But yet I'm getting locked up in here. You record all that you do. So anyway, so I hope that's what I'm talking about makes it more apparent that, again, I'm going to repeat this so to summarize it for you to make sure that we understand what the issue is. On Android and iOS, these two phones here, Android and iOS, these phones are tracking you without your permission, and they're basically asking any app that gets installed on this to include tracking code with it. So that's part of it. And aside from all the tracking and telemetry that's being done to any app that's in here, they restrict the kind of apps. You never actually write your own app on here. You only write a portion of the app. The rest is written for you by Apple and Google. And you have to integrate what you do with the Apple and Google with the Apple and Google platform. So you're not doing this independently. You're kind of left with whatever Android and iOS provides for you. So yes, Mustache. I just need to know if Intel IME is still a concern. Yes. Oh gosh, yes. Hello, Katie. How are you doing, Katie? From Vancouver. Okay, so I had like dancing girls on the green screen before. You probably want dancing boys. So anyway, because I know exactly what happens, I'll get into IME if I have time here. Stay put there. But let me just finish my point. For this reason, I don't like bringing these phones with me anywhere because I am not giving permission to these apps to track me. And some of you are saying, well, who cares if they track you? I'm going to tell you that in a free society, you guys need to really read the book 1984. And some of you say, well, Kelp says, we don't need to read 1984 because the book is so old. Okay, the book was not written in 1984. The book was written in 1949. So it's an old book, and surprisingly, it's still, you know, it's still very fitting even in this modern day. And uh, so 1984 may not be the right book for you then. Then watch the movie V for Vendetta, which is kind of similar. Watch the movie V for Vendetta, which is a great movie. Action. Can you buy Nexus 5 with Linux Ubuntu already loaded, or I have to install Ubuntu myself? I've been selling these preloaded, so as I get them, I buy them, I pre-install it for you. So I sell Nexus 5. They run out pretty quickly though. I think I only have one left. And then yeah, so this, see, I pre-install Ubuntu Touch. You can do it yourself, but it's not, it's not super easy. Okay? If you're not technical, the Nexus is a little bit more complicated. So this is more complicated to do, and the instructions would be much more difficult and a little bit more unpredictable. So I do these, and it's in my store. I think everyone already bought one. So could you buy an international model and post to Australia? Somebody just asked me that somebody asked me that about New Zealand. So yeah, I trying to remember what the cost is of postage. How much would it cost to send this to New Zealand? Probably $25 is my guess, right? It's gonna be expensive. Probably $25 to send this to New Zealand. I mean, to New Zealand, Australia, whatever. So all I ask is that you pay me for my time, which is $99. Pay me for my time to set it up. Now, how long would it take you to set up if you've never done this before? Frankly, if you haven't done this before, it'll probably take you a while. So yeah, because it took me a while to get into the routine, and I've been doing this for a little bit now, and I've done like many phones, and so that's all I ask. Whatever the cost of the phone is, add my time to it, and then you can add whatever the shipping is to Australia or to New Zealand or to whenever. But you're gonna find out, Bruno, right? Yeah. So and if you get one of these and you bought it and then you brick it and you still want to have it done, well, send it to me and I'll do it for you. Okay? So if you can't figure it out and you want to figure it out, then send it to me, and then I'll do it for you, and then again, just pay for my time to do it. So 5X isn't going to work, Bruno. You better return the 5X because that's a different processor. That's not compatible. The only compatible is a D820 and a D821, which is the 16 and the 32 gigabyte model of a Nexus 5, then a OnePlus 1, and a Nexus 4, which I don't recommend. I don't recommend you get a Nexus 4. Okay? So I refuse to support capitalism. I am now an anarchist. That's exactly how I feel. That's why I decided to use this as so my SIM card is now on this. Okay, now because I don't have any apps, I don't have like Google Authenticator and things, there's things that I can't really do on this. But I'm on the road anyway, so it doesn't matter. How do you transfer data from the Ubuntu phone to a laptop? What data did you need to transfer, Perryverse? Depends on what data you need to transfer. This is Linux, so you can SSH. For one thing, you can SSH to your laptop. So you can run FileZilla and transfer. Now this is to be honest with you, the Ubuntu phone is also jailed, although not in the same kind of context as Android. Android jail is a little bit different because they don't jail you just to restrict your access. Android jails you so they can run their own code. Photos, etc. Oh yeah, that's pretty easy. You can actually just uh, yeah. I can think of many ways, but SSH is one of them. So if you're running, this is running Linux, so you can just use SSH. You can transfer a whole folder over. In fact, you can just drag the folder into to your server. So pretty easy. He could. Okay. So anyway, FileZilla is still a chunky piece, but viable. Um, I'm trying to think because there's some limitations on this. Uh, yeah, you can run Thunderbird. I have not tried loading. I don't like carrying email on my phone. So the only email I have on this phone here is some Gmail accounts on a webmail. So webmail is fine on a phone. So I'm running some Gmail accounts on here, and other than that, I have not actually tried running like Thunderbird on this. Although there is a Thunderbird for Linux, and the reason is, and this requires a different video, and that it has to do with the fact that this is not really suited to run uh, desktop apps uh, from Linux. It's used to run phone apps. So they have kind of a little restriction here. If you're going to run a desktop app, you have to run it in a container called Libertine, and there's a procedure for it, which I have to make a video for, which no one will watch because it's too specialized. But as we get more people on Ubuntu Touch, and I can teach you some things that you can do on Ubuntu Touch to run some apps. So there's actually no good video out on YouTube that explains how to run desktop apps on Ubuntu Touch. The ones that you see there, you wouldn't understand what they're talking about. You have to be really techy to understand. What the zuck do you mean by zucking Libertine? And how do you actually use Libertine? They don't say anything. They don't actually tell you how to use it. And so there's a bit of guesswork because you have to like search for documentation on the internet to see how it actually works. So anyway, I got that figured out for you. So I might do a video to help you with that. How about notes? No, Katie, these are. Can I ask what? Yeah, you can do that. Webmail is fine. Enlighten up. Webmail is not going to allow beaconing because they're going to beacon the server of the webmail. So webmail is actually safe. If you're on a phone, webmail is actually a good thing on the phone. Don't use a local app that comes with a phone on Android and iOS. Let me see. What did I miss here? Ownership. What's propaganda? Pay rent. They call tax. I basically use my phone as a phone, some browsing, the rest I do on my rig at home. Exactly, Jane. So that's exactly how I use this. Except I got to check on my YouTube channel and things like that. And mostly it's browsing. And if I can do browsing, and web apps and things and run it well, then that's good enough for me. And it runs pretty well doing these basic things on Ubuntu Touch. Plus the fact there's free music on it. And there's navigation and things that, yes, they're not as nice as using Waze, but given the spying that I'm trying to avoid, to what extent, here's the navigation app on Ubuntu Touch. So, yeah, I think I showed that on the video. So comes with a free navigation app in there. Can you put website shortcuts on a home screen. Yeah, it's called making a web app. Web app. It's called Web App Creator, and it comes with it. I may need to give instructions. I put Braxme on there already. If you get the phone from me, I load Braxme on it, and you do it using Web App Creator. There are already web apps on the home screen for available for Twitter, for YouTube, for Gmail. There's many of them. Instagram, this, that, the Facebook. They've already made the web apps for those, and so those are already on the home screen. So they're already available. So, but you can make your own. Any website can be turned into a little app. So that's hello, Tom, Mike. Uh, so basically, I will carry two phones at work. Well, today I did not bring my other phone, and just to see if I really missed it, and no, I was frustrated that the phone had a Bluetooth bug. Yes, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm frustrated that I can't use the Bluetooth in my car. In California, it's illegal to use a phone for calling without, by holding the phone. It has to be hands free. So that's a problem. I got to go wait for them to figure that out. So hopefully somebody's working on that. But that's a problem, and that is an issue. That's the main issue. There are many little bugs on the Bluetooth, but the I can actually at least listen to music on a device for free on a cloud music, without using Spotify, without using Apple Music, and pay a monthly fee. So that alone is pretty cool. I really need a good mapping app, so I need my stupid Android. Okay, so Jane, this is running Lineage OS. So because of what you just said, let me just tell you something. Lineage OS itself doesn't spy on doesn't spy on you. So Lineage OS, the OS itself, is fine. The problem is any app that you run on this will spy on you because of that built-in code that's built into the code. So what I did here is I loaded Waze and Google Maps on Lineage OS. So maybe this is what you want, because basically, if you're not running Waze or Google Maps, then it doesn't spy on you. It only spies on you when you're running the app. So if you're not using it all the time, then it's not spying you in the moments that are not using it. So some of you may want to have a more Android-like experience. This is running Lineage OS, which is keyed to the version Android 9. So this is, a fairly new version of Android if you think about it. And it's running on an old phone. And here, the spying will occur if you run Waze. Yes. But at least you're making the choice, and they're not making the choice for you. If you're running Android, just having the phone with you is enough to be spied on. You don't have to do anything. Just carry the phone, it's spying on you. If you're running Lineage OS, it only spies on you when you run the app or any app, because there's going to be telemetry on most apps. So if you're using it for calling and all that, and that's it, that's not going to spy on you then. Just turn the location off, and it should be okay for that. But once you run an app, then it will start to zuck you. But at least you get a choice. Is the factory mail app built in is not good to use? No, never, Crypto Chris. No, this is more of a cybersecurity topic, Crypto Chris. But the built-in mail apps, I've already proven can be beaconed. I can attack you using your built-in mail apps. I Spy. There you go, Great Gold. But you love iOS. It's funny. Great Gold says that, but he's a big iOS fan. So anyway, it's a matter of degree. So is a Lineage OS acceptable? It's a compromise because you can still run Google Apps on it when you need to. So if you're really big on Waze, then you can say, well, I'm going to use this for calling and texting, but when I need to run a Google app, then I know that the spying begins. But this is not going to report the scanning Wi-Fi and all that, because that's on the Android side from Google. That's not on the LineageOS side. So it's not going to do that. The location tracking without your permission. That's not going to happen in LineageOS. Okay, so kind of like a intermediate answer right there. So is it completely isolating yourself from Google? No, but at least it doesn't do it all the time. It does it only when you click on it. Now, that is not the same for iOS. That is not the same for iOS. There's no way to shut down the iOS spying. None. So if you're using iOS, it's tracking you every second. Period. There's nothing you can do. Which is why I want to leave this at home. It already knows where I am because it's already tracked me before. So I'm just going to leave this at home. It's going to think that I got sick and I don't leave the house anymore. So I'm just going to leave this at home. Okay, so that's my objective, is to get down to I don't know if you can even delete built-in mail apps, but just don't use them. I already use Ubuntu, so Linux phone will be perfect. So the Librem 5 running Pure OS is an even nicer solution than Ubuntu Touch. I like the Ubuntu Touch interface, and it's fine. The problem is that they lock it up too much, so you can't load apps like Thunderbird Mail and all that very easily. You have to go through a few steps to do it, and that's the part I don't like. So, and what they did was make this more like, it runs, kind of like iOS. In fact, even the interface is very similar to iOS. So, let's say you want to kill an app, that kind of thing, and then you slide it up and down like that. That's a very thing copied from iOS. So I feel like I have a lot of control with movements that are predictable, kind of like iOS is, and except I don't have any iOS apps on here. So do you care about the iOS apps? If you do, then you probably can't get rid of iOS. So one of the potential things you can do is to have your iOS phone turned off and available. Maybe you put it in your bag, but you leave it off and use this on because this doesn't spy on you. If you really need your iOS phone because you need to use a certain app, then you can turn it on, briefly use it, and then turn it off again. So that's one possibility. But I'm going to tell you that there's a sense of freedom when I'm free from iOS and Android from this. This is just a relief for me. I feel like really relieved when I know that it doesn't need to know what I had for dinner. Okay? And not only does it know what I had for dinner, they can actually cross-check the credit card bill and see how much I spent at dinner. And they said, "Wow, you spent a lot of money at dinner, so you must be very poor or very rich." And then we want to use that to sell you things. So, and I wish it were that simple, but the fact of the matter is, behaviors can be profiled just from location alone. Okay, let me just give you some idea. The phone knows what work you do. It doesn't need to spy on your phone calls. It doesn't need to do any of that. Let's just talk location alone. All of your habits will be known just from your location. It knows how many times you've been to the doctor's office. It knows if you've been to a protest. It knows if you've been to court. It knows if you went to the unemployment agency or the unemployment office. It knows that you haven't been going to work lately. It knows that you've been to the liquor store. It knows that you went to the gay bar. It knows that you went to the movies. I mean, it knows what kind of church you go to, or mosque, or temple. It knows all that, and that kind of knowledge is dangerous because um, just as an example, and this is the kind of a scary thought. Could somebody, could someone uh, target a community? Let's say they want to target all Asians and do something to them, or you know, Arabs or Jews, and the fact that there's such micro targeting data available just from location alone, that single data point, which is one of the, to me, is the most scariest pieces of information, is location data. I get so irritated as it is. I drive by this intersection here in LA, and there's so many fucking cameras in this intersection that it actually knows anytime I cross there. And I actually go out of my way. I drive all the way around just so I can avoid that intersection because it's kind of a trap. It's one of the busiest intersections in the city, and you have to cross there. And they got all the cameras, so I go there and I put the blinds down, and I mean the visor down, and or use sunglasses or something, and it's they're doing facial recognition in that corner. Uh, if you get a ticket, you'll see what I'm talking about with facial recognition. They're actually doing facial recognition from that corner in LA, and it really, really has been bugging me. I haven't been, there haven't been any reviews on YouTube for the Librem 5, and people think it's suspicious, and people are angry about the Librem 5 now. Pizza loving nerd. Yeah, if you go to Reddit, that's all they talk about there is it's like Librem 5 bashing, purism bashing site. They bash me there too, so everyone is like continuously bashing pizza loving nerd. So they've been refunding and getting pine phone. You cannot get a pine phone, pizza loving nerd. So I don't know what that means. You cannot get a pine phone. So pizza loving nerd, I can't wait for a pine phone. I can't wait for a Librem 5. I have an Ubuntu Touch Linux phone right now. Okay, pizza loving nerd, why don't you install one? You said you can't afford it, but there, I'm running a navigation app there. That's running Linux here. Let's see. There's my YouTube running on Linux. Oops. Yeah. So YouTube running on Linux right there. So what's wrong with that? Actually, there I am on the top on the live stream. Okay. So, do I need to wait for Pine Phone and whatever? Yeah, when they come out, they come out. But in the meantime, there it is. Don't need to worry about it. I got them here. I got one left, I guess. They do go pretty fast, so I can't really make these, so many of these. So I have to keep looking for them. I ordered 4 more, but they're kind of being shipped very slowly, so it might take a while to get them. So maybe at the end of next week I might get them. So I'm hoping. I thought bashing was a tech problem solving technique. Bash is the name of the Linux command line. It's called Bash. Only $4.99. Pizza YouTube will probably be my first job. I'm 55 subs away from 1,000 subs, so I can monetize soon. No, that's not true, pizza loving nerd. You don't get to monetize reaching 1,000. That's not true. Perry Verts talked to me on on Brax.me if you want to do anything. Because you're asking me to spend my money, and you may have to give me a deposit or something. These are 32 gigabytes. Yeah, this is 32 gigabytes. So this is the last one I have here for now, for the week. Okay, because I'm keeping one. So this is the last one I have. So 32 gigabyte one, and you can see it's in excellent shape. Very good shape. I found a good supplier, but he's out of them. So I bought all of his 32 gigabytes, and there's no more. So, but then I found another place, and I ordered uh, 4 of them. The problem is I don't have. No, they do not come. Not the Nexus. The one that comes with 64 gigabyte is the One Plus One, which is more expensive. So I haven't found this. I got my first one for $60, and you can't find them now for this. People are putting LineageOS and Ubuntu Touch and other things on them, so they're really hard to come by. Now there's kind of a run on them, so just like $100 almost for a One Plus One. So I'm not gonna go pay $100 for a used phone like that. So because by the time I add my labor to it, then it's gonna be too expensive. So so yeah. So look at this. So I'm gonna swipe. I think I showed that in the video. I mean, it's pretty much works kind of like iOS. It's there's the menu. Swipe there. It's very predictable, but don't try to do anything fancy. What the OnePlus was worse for which reason? Uh, this one plus one, or just in general? In general, the only issue is price. In general, the One Plus One has a better camera, but I found the browser a tad slower than the one on the Nexus 5, and it may have to do with either the network or just the way that the browser was working on it. I don't really know why, but running the same Ubuntu Touch, it was faster on the Nexus 5 for me, running a browser. But this one is a better camera and this version is 64 gigabyte. So the problem with this is that I cannot load Ubuntu Touch on there. Somebody loaded LineageOS on there, and this is why it's very difficult. If somebody changes if somebody roots the device before it gets to you or to me, it becomes difficult to undo. So I have not been able to undo this. So there's some secret little setting that I don't know about, and it won't let me undo the Lineage OS on here. I can't undo it. So I cannot load Ubuntu Touch. It seems to be able to load other things, but not Ubuntu Touch. So for that reason, this is kind of, at the moment, a mystery phone, unless somebody wants it as Lineage OS, in which case it's already set up. So Lineage OS is running on it, running fine. And the latest version of Lineage OS. And this one is running a true Ubuntu Touch. Okay, you have to have 4K hours of watch time per year. I have 773 hours this year and 1,000 subs. Oh, yes, there you go. If you have the watch hours, you're good. You're good to go. However, I don't know what you think monetization means. I pizza loving nerd. I don't know if you know what monetization means. Do you actually expect you're going to make any significant money from advertising on YouTube? Uh, so printing ads in my videos. Do you actually think you're going to make money on YouTube doing that? You might be surprised how little money you will make. So maybe you make $5 a month. 30 bucks? Not necessarily. On the other hand, you have views. If your view count is high, then you might get the $30. But uh, yeah. So yeah, it I don't make much money from advertising, and I have a very high CPM because I'm in because of my field. So for somebody like doing cooking, for example, will have a lower CPM, and they may only get $1 per thousand. Where in my broadcast, my views are up to $10 per thousand. So so that's high, but yet the income is meaningless on the ad. So I don't really look forward to getting ad money. It's not it's not significant. Cost per thousand, great gold. Cost per thousand of views. So if for every thousand views, PewDiePie makes, you know, let's say for every thousand views, PewDiePie makes $1, right? Uh, so if he has 1 million views, then he'll make 100,000, right? Did I get that right? 1 million views would be $100,000. So if he gets 1 million views a month, then he gets $100,000 a month. so, so I get decent views for my channel size. My average video is 300 views. Yeah, but it's in thousands, so you only get paid in thousands. So anyway, it's hard to make money off YouTube. So anyway, thank you for the segue. The segue is uh, the way I try to uh, you know make my YouTube channel successful is through making products. So I use this for as my marketing channel because I need to market the products that I already made. And one of the products I made that I'm talking about is uh, Brax Wi-Fi. Brax Wi-Fi is a VPN router. And why do you need a VPN router? Some of you already have VPNs. You got VPNs from scams like NordVPN, and you say, well, I got a VPN already, so you don't need anything else. Well, as you can see, many of us have many devices like I do here. Look at all these devices I have here, okay, including this. Now, if you have as many devices as I have here, and I mean, look at the stack, just this alone, okay? How the zucker are you going to put a VPN on all this? How do you, and these are, I have more over there. So, because there's so many devices that are in use and multiple per family member, how do you actually get around to protecting computers, laptops, phones, and there's so many devices without having your IP address revealed? What about your guests? So as I was explaining earlier, Facebook will actually spy on you now based on other people coming into your network without a VPN. And then if they have a Facebook app loaded on the phone, they will spy on the MAC addresses and report the data to Facebook. So because of that, you will find that it's really unmanageable. And the only way to do it is to just put the VPN on the zucking router. If the VPN is on the router, you don't have to do anything special. You just log into the VPN and you're VPN. So if anyone asks you what is your Wi-Fi address that we can use, you just put them on a VPN Wi-Fi address. They use this one, and they don't need to know it's on a VPN, and they'll automatically VPN their Facebook. So when people come to my house on Thanksgiving and they start zucking pictures and loading it to Facebook, they won't get my MAC address and they won't get my information, my IP address, and send it with the photo, my picture, which will be facially recognized by Facebook, and I'm going to get profiled with a relationship with the people who showed up, and I don't want that. So if you want some privacy, you really need to up the game and say, how can we actually implement this? And I make these solutions because I don't have an answer otherwise. So a VPN router is a known security solution for a long time, but VPN routers are very expensive. If you go to flashrouters.com, a VPN router, the cheap ones will cost you $300, and then to the high-powered ones will cost you $600. So $300 to $600 for a Wi-Fi router at flashrouters.com. So I made these for $159. Okay, so these routers are all set to go. And if you want to add range, you can add a $35 antenna to it, and that's all you really need, and you're all set. So this is the way to not have to manage your VPN use and your privacy use, because it's automatic, and it only takes one person to not use a VPN to screw everyone up. Only one person with a Facebook app tracks your MAC addresses and finds out that you're all on different IP addresses because some of you are on a VPN. And then Facebook starts to know, oh yeah, this is your real IP address. So it doesn't matter which IP address you say you are on, we think you're on this because we just spotted you because of a MAC address. So all of these are like little spy things that I want to stop these companies from being able to do. And so Zuckbook is able to do that. And this will zuck them up because they can't even get a MAC address on this. Okay, so that's one of the tricks, is that this itself will not even reveal the MAC address to Facebook. So this is an anti-Facebook tool as well. So Brax Wi-Fi VPN is available, and then I also have my VPN right there, Bytes VPN. This is not a subscription. This is a one-time purchase. That's a VPN service. Now I'm planning to do another upgrade on this for the next round, to use the Raspberry Pi 4. The Raspberry Pi 4 price is going down now, so I'm going to start shifting to that, because they raised the price on the Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, so might as well use a 4. So that's some of the changes that are happening. So anyway, I built this because I understand there's a need for it, and I use it myself. I've actually now corrected my entire network to be entirely built on these with the antenna version, so that I have range. So I put the antenna on it, and just gives me a little bit of range, so it can be reached through my entire house. Okay, which types of devices are safe from? Okay, so let me answer you, Mustache, Mr. Mustache. Let me answer you, because you asked that question earlier, and I told you I was going to answer. I searched Uport site, and I see no difference between the 790 and the 820. A lack of support for the 5X. Where can I find info for future reference? Bruno Ray, I'm already telling you what you can use. So if I were you, don't vary it. In the US, I don't really recommend anything other than a Nexus 5 and a OnePlus One. That's it. Nexus 5 and OnePlus One, US. If you're not in the US, you can use a BQ 4.5. If you're in the US, you can't find those, so don't even bother. So that's it. There's nothing else to use at the moment. OnePlus One, Nexus 5, 16 gigabyte, 32 gigabyte. This one is international version. This one comes with international version and US version. So don't experiment. That's not in the video. The video only talked about 2 models. There really isn't any other model at the moment that's tested. There will be bugs on some. They supported a 1+3 and 1+3T. So those will be supported at some point, but not yet. The other one that's can be supported at some point is a Sony Xperia. That's it. So if it's not one of those, don't even bother. Okay? Don't even bother. It's not. You're just going to waste your time. So I'm telling you what the limitations are, and hopefully at some point in the future we'll have more devices. But at the moment it's limited to that, and I wouldn't really take that kind of risk. Anyway, so yeah, so I'm making these. If you are not techie and you want somebody to do it for you, I've already done these. So check in my store to see if I have more available. They go really, really fast. So as I have a shipment, I put it on the store quickly, then they disappear. So last night, whatever was on there is almost gone. And then hopefully next week I'll get another batch of 4. So that's all I can have right now. Okay, so let's not talk about a question from Mr. That one guy with a mustache, and he's been asking me several times now about IME, and which is noted in several videos and live streams. Although I don't have a specific video that talks only about IME. So IME comes in different names and flavors. Over the years, I've talked about IME. I called it vPro. vPro is the Intel name for the series of features that includes IME, and it's part of a family called Advanced Management Technology, or AMT. So IME, Intel Management Engine, is part of that. What is Intel Management Engine? It's a backdoor. Okay, a Intel Management Engine. Yes, Bruno Ray, you could have just bought it from me and saved money. So if you want to save money and time, just buy it from me already done. You pay someone to clean your house, and you pay them money, and you pay me and I'll do it. Okay, so yeah, why complicate your life? So anyway, Intel Management Engine is a way for corporate users to get support from their IT department by having somebody take over their computer. So the whole purpose to IME is, if you work for IBM, let's say, and you called up tech support and said, my computer isn't working, I don't know what's wrong, and then you call up tech support and they say, just leave your computer where it is, don't touch it, and then we'll solve it. And so overnight, the people from IT will turn on the computer. They can turn it on remotely. All they ask is that you leave it plugged in. They turn it on, they connect to the computer, and then they activate a coprocessor on they're basically 2 computers in a computer. The main computer and a side computer. Think of it as like a Raspberry Pi on the side. Okay, so they call the little computer on the side, and this little computer can control the big computer by accessing the hard drive. So you can actually make BIOS changes and actually format their hard disk and load new software on it and all that. And you can do it from the little computer that's in the big computer. So it's a coprocessor, and that is the AMT or IME or Intel Management Engine. Now, the problem is, if you don't work for a corporation, why would they have a backdoor like that in a chip? Who does that needs, a backdoor that some 3-letter agency can use to connect to your computer? Why would they do such a thing? So they were doing this since 2009 or so. Actually, the first one I think was 2007. Then they made some variations, but definitely they got it in full bore by 2009. Almost every device shipped from Intel had Intel Management Engine. And then in 2017, they decided suddenly to remove it from some models, including the computer I have here, the Star Laptop, and the HP Spectre 360 does not have IME on it, and you can check by chip number at Intel. All you do is search for the feature called vPro. If it says it doesn't have vPro, then it says in not eligible for IME. That's what they say. Apple devices have vPro. They're Intel chips. So my MacBook Pro has, which I don't use anymore. My MacBook Pro has vPro. I don't use it. All of my other computers are either HP Spectres, Lenovo's, and this Linux computer here, Star Laptop, and none of this have IME built in. Now the Star Laptop has a BIOS setting to turn off IME. So I can turn off IME at the BIOS level, whatever that means. I'm not sure. The Librem 13, if you ever get one of those, actually do it by kill switch. So they said they do kill switch on the IME, but we don't know exactly what they did. You know, is it? It's not transparent exactly how they disabled IME. So this is not 100% guaranteed. For this reason, I have a 2000 MacBook Pro with an Intel chip that's spontaneously activated. Is Apple safe for privacy security? No, I just said it has. It has that. What is a T2 chip? There's the A7, A8. What is a T2 chip? I don't know what that is, but inside your MacBook Pro, the Intel processor has vPro on it. I verified my MacBook Pro has IME. So no, it's not safe because it doesn't matter what the operating system is. vPro is independent of the operating system. There is no way to turn off IME on a MacBook Pro. Okay, so there's no methodology. So some of you will say, well, I can get a computer from AMD if I can't use one with Intel vPro, if I don't want to use one with IME. Sorry, AMD has a very similar feature. I forget the name of what they call it, but it's similar to IME. So they also have a spying code built in to AMD. Now again, new versions of consumer laptops, especially ultrabooks, using the popular chips like the one I have on here is the i7 8550, the i7 7500. Those particular chips do not have AMT vPro IME, and it's simple. Before you buy the computer, don't just go to the store and go. Don't just go to walk into Best Buy and walk out with a computer. Go find out what the chip is that they're used by these computers and get the specifications for the chips, and then go to Google to Intel and find out if they have IME on it. If your computer has IME on it, it's a problem because how does Zuxley shut that down? So I don't think IME can be controlled easily from your home network, if at all. I also don't think IME can be controlled if you're on a VPN. If any, that's some consolation. It's just the way it works. The way IME works is they have a website that contacts the IP address of your device through a certain port number, which I believe is 16992 and 16993 or something like that. But you see, port numbers are not accessible on a VPN. So those port numbers will not work on a VPN, so there's really no way to connect. So the VPN will just ignore that, and that's it. So usually there's not a way to directly access a computer in that way. You have to be on the LAN, so doesn't go through the internet. So a VPN will prevent that. Does it stay connected to Wi-Fi when it is shut down? They can signal it to turn on. They can signal to turn on. The Wi-Fi goes to sleep mode. But it's checking in. The computer will wake up. So yes, T2 is okay. System 76 is disabled. The IME T2 chip is a security chip. Um, yeah, I did not read that on System 76. And System 76, they said they disabled it by BIOS. So, and what they actually do is, at least on the Star laptop, they're using a standard American Megatrends BIOS, which they modified. So they took the American Megatrends BIOS and then they used a setting there, that nothing really too complicated, and said, can we control IME from there? So is that good enough? Now that's a good question. I don't actually know if that's good enough. Can somebody override that? I don't know. It worries me. So, but knowing how IME works, it typically works on a LAN. So it's not something that, it's not an attack I expect on the internet. The attack's going to be on a LAN. So somebody could IME you, let's say Starbucks. Somebody can use IME in a business environment. It's going to be hard to attack your home computer through the internet unless they hack your Wi-Fi first. Okay, I want to buy a BB, but I don't know which, thinking BB Classic or Passport. I already talked about that. So this is the last BlackBerry that I think is safe. This is a BlackBerry Bold. This one is a 9900. This is probably the last newest phone that's safer. I am not sure about the Passport. The Passport is a touch screen, and that may already be using an Android base. So I'm not sure about that. But this one is not using Android base. This is BlackBerry OS Pure. Okay? But I don't recommend these because of the limitations of not accessing a browser. So the best option really is an Ubuntu Touch phone at the moment, until you can get a Librem 5 or a Pine phone. So, or some newer version of phone that an Ubuntu Touch can run on. By the way, Ubuntu Touch can run on a Pine phone. So if you're using a Pine phone already, I mean Ubuntu Touch, you can use it on a Pine phone. And they expect us to run on a Librem 5 at some point as well. So the Ubuntu Touch will work on Librem 5s and Pine phones. So presumably, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Okay, so if you know how to use this, then you actually be good to go with those new devices. Okay. I don't know about any tablet, anything with a touch screen is kind of suspect. Any one of those full touch screens is suspect. The ones with the keyboards are the safe ones. This one is so new looking. This came to me wrapped in plastic still. I mean, it's flawless. It looks brand new. Look at it, not a scratch. Not a scratch on it. Even on the sides, it's like the metal is completely 100% clean, wrapped in plastic. Okay, I might sell this because I don't need it anymore. Okay, so I might sell this. This runs 3G. So maybe I'll sell this for 50 bucks. It's a very nice phone. I mean, look at the quality of that. Right? I mean, you're seeing from the reflection, it's super, super clean. So this is a good, safe phone for phone and texting. If that's all you want to use, then this is perfect. But I recommend this. This is a Nexus 5, which I put Ubuntu Touch on. So what I've been doing is, for those of you who can't install this on your own, I've been taking these Nexus 5s and I've been installing it, and then I'm selling it, and then charging $99 for my time to do it. Whatever the cost of the phone is, I add 99 bucks for my time, and then preloaded with Ubuntu Touch. I can't do much of this because there are not that many phones, so it's not I wouldn't call this a business. It's just I'm just doing it as a favor. Okay, so that's not my. It's a kind of a side thing. It's just because of the demand. But this is what you should look to needing is a Wi-Fi router and the alarm. Now this is gonna buzz again. Somebody was complaining about the sound yesterday about the buzzing of the alarm. So we're gonna turn on the alarm here. We're gonna turn on the alarm and see what happens. So this is a radar alarm. It's a perimeter alarm, and it actually uh, can sense if somebody approaches this device within about 12 feet all around. So if you come within 12 feet of this in any direction, it will send an alarm. So at the moment, it works by sending a notification message on BraxMe. It can also send a text, and then I'm going to add the ability also to send email. And somebody said, will the email get beaconed? No, because the email will not come from this. The email will come from my server, so there will be no identifier on the email. But we can send the notification by email if you want to do that. So this device is a perimeter alarm, and what is neat about this is that it can actually sense, it's like perimeter security. So for some of you, it can also indicate if somebody's touching your computer. One of the things that I use it for is, so it kind of works like Amazon, it talks. So let's say I have this in my room, and if somebody touches my computer, I know that somebody went there and will kind of like give me a canary message that somebody's been tampering with my stuff. Okay, because this is how you set it up. All you have to do is fire the alarm by pressing the button. Okay, now watch this. Well, it doesn't actually. It's Wi-Fi or wired or Wi-Fi. It doesn't have any spying on it, except for the radar. It doesn't can't be accessed from the internet. You cannot control it from the internet. You cannot talk to it either. It talks to you. You can't talk to it. Talking to you means it'll send the signal to Amazon. Okay, now watch. So no, it cannot. Okay, you see? Oops, sorry, I moved. So now that sends a notification on my phone that the alarm was fired. Okay? And so if you're not home, then you can't stop it. There's no like override code, nothing. It will always trigger. So you know for sure that the alarm was triggered. Then it can auto reset. And you just do that continuously so you know if there's any activity in an area. Let's say you have a vacation home. You just need one of these. Leave it in the vacation home. And if somebody goes into the property, then the thing will fire, and then you can call the police and say somebody's over at my vacation home. So this is this is an extension of the security I provide for cybersecurity, because it can't happen alone. People can do things to your computer just by having access. One of the things that I fear is somebody can walk to my computer without my knowledge, insert a rubber ducky, that's a USB with a code on it, execute the code with a rubber ducky, leave, exit the house, and you don't know anything, but the virus is already on your computer, and it's doing then what is called a remote access Trojan, and then it can turn on the cameras and do things like that and spy on you. So that was the kind of worrisome things that can be done if you do not have security inside the perimeter. Okay, so I built this because I know these are things that I need. So, these products are built because I need them and I use them myself. So my entire network now is built of several of these. Okay? And you don't have to buy my products because you want to support me, you want to buy my products because you need them. I wouldn't buy these products. I wouldn't make these products if you don't need them. So in addition to this, this comes with an outdoor camera system, which is also described on my store. So if you want to see how that works, you can go to my store, rob.brax.me, and see what's on there. But watch this. I'm going to stop moving, and that green light will stop there. Okay, now watch. Every little movement, and that green light will go. That's the radar sensor. You see the green light? Like slow motion movements are not detected, but it's got to be like, movements like that. So one of my inventions, I invent lots of little things and write lots of software. So anyway, it can't spy on you because there's no connection. You can't control from the internet. As long as it doesn't spy on me, think about it makes sense for security also if somebody's trying to break in. Yeah, and it's nice because you don't have to put a sensor on the window, sensor on the door, sensor on this can just be an area security because if the thief comes in through the window, they're going to cross over a common area. You just need one of these in a common area. So if you know they're going to walk through the hallway or walk through a certain zone, then you can cover the whole area with one of these devices. You don't need multiple. Okay. Why did you start your YouTube channel recently? Why not earlier in time? Tyra, Tyra, is that Lent? Tyra, Tyrant. Okay, Tyrant. Okay. Because I was on a different platform. I have a popular channel on Periscope, Twitter. So there I have 30,000 followers on Twitter. So on Periscope. So at one point I was getting 14,000 views a day on Periscope Twitter. But the problem is that people left the platform. The platform is not as big as it was back in the day a couple of years ago. So the platform started kind of diving, and so there's less new people coming into the platform, and so that's why I decided to shift over because those 30,000 people may no longer be in the platform. So that's why I went to YouTube. So anyway, I'm obviously succeeding here on YouTube, and because I've already done it, it's I do have 30,000 followers on Periscope. So that's not a small achievement. 30,000 followers is a big number. So on Periscope. So in my peak, I was getting 14,000 average views a day is significant. I'd certainly gotten over 1 million people have seen me on Periscope. So I was also in a radio show on CBS radio, AM WBZ radio when it was CBS. So I was a regular guest on the radio talking about cybersecurity and privacy topics there as well. So before they got sold to iHeartRadio. But before they got sold, I was a regular guest on WBZ radio. So yeah, so this it's this is not new. It's just that I'm on a different platform. But YouTube is now the growing platform, and this is where most of the people are. So that's and some people say, why do you not publish your videos on some of these other platforms? Instead of YouTube, where we don't want to be tracked by Google. Well, you don't have to worry about that because on Google you can go to Google activity controls and turn off all the tracking anyway. So uh, the only tracking you have to worry about are ad trackers, and the ad trackers are found anywhere, not just on Google. So you can turn off the tracking for what you watch in videos on, and I've tested that, and that appears to work. And all you have to do is go to Google Activity Controls and shut down all of the tracking for location, videos you watch, and all that. So it doesn't seem to record what videos I watch other than the ones I subscribe to. So if I subscribe to a channel, then it's thinking that it knows something about me, which it really doesn't, because mostly I subscribe to channels mostly because they're from Periscope. Periscope of course, Periscope tracks you, and people even keep track of your comments on Periscope and such. So anyway, you'll make it here for sure. It's gonna take a little time. It's not taking a little time, Tyrant. I've only been here for less than a year, and I'm already at close to 5,000 subs, and it's not a year yet. I'll end the year likely near I don't know, 7,000. If I'm lucky, more. But yeah, it could be 8,000 by the end of the year. I hope, if the trend continues. So it's already working. So I just have to worry about making sure that my content is acceptable to all of you guys. So I hope you learned from tonight. And again, to review the topic, our topic was to tell you why the Android and iOS phones really have things that you cannot turn off because it's tracking you without your permission, and there's no way to turn it off. So if there's no way to turn off these trackers, why are we succumbing to these devices when there's some options? So I'm now switched. This is now my new daily driver phone. It's an Ubuntu Touch, and this is a Nexus 5 running Ubuntu Touch, which is a Linux phone. So that's what I'm using, and there are bugs in it, and there's some little difficulties, but the browser works well, and I can do the basics on it, and which is all I need when I'm on the road. I'm leaving the iPhone at home or using it for broadcast. So this is staying at home. I can use this at home. I can use the apps at home, the few apps that I have in here. And it already knows my home, so I'm going to just leave it here. iOS, turn off Wi-Fi triangulation. I read. Dude guy, be serious. Dude guy, be serious, okay? Wi-Fi triangulation is in the Zucking hardware. It's in a Broadcom chip on the Zucking device. No, you are absolutely wrong. It's impossible that Apple would ever turn off Wi-Fi scanning. There's two parts: the scanning of the Wi-Fi and the triangulation. Those are two parts. In my experience, I personally prefer UB ports more than LineageOS, interface-wise, because this behaves more like an iOS phone. But LineageOS obviously has the app, so if you want to use some apps from Google like Waze, then LineageOS is the only choice you have. So if you still need to use occasional apps that can spy on you, then you may have to stick to LineageOS. So this has LineageOS on it, latest version, which is running actually an Android 9, so which is kind of neat because this phone is a OnePlus phone, which is an older phone. It's running the latest Android equivalent. And so LineageOS may be an option for some. And LineageOS is a custom ROM. So it runs on Android open source, but not the Android from Google. So it doesn't have Play Store by default. So the moment you load the Play Store on it, that starts the tracking. So you have to make a decision. Do you want LineageOS with the Play Store or not? If you need to load things like Waze, you need the Play Store. So you have to make a decision how far you have to take it. Most of you will put the Play Store on it, so therefore it will have some tracking. But it won't be the complete tracking that Android has. Are there programs that can take over your computer and read your comments out loud and everything you're doing? Yes, it's called a remote access Trojan. Yes, of course, tweet this, babe. Yes, it's one of the scariest things you can have. Lineage, though, a reworking of the OS is still Android. Period. It's not OS scale code working. It's not kernel rewrite. Yes, Jane, but the specific thing that I'm trying to be immune from is that thing, the Wi-Fi scanning feature I'm talking about, where it reports the MAC addresses of the Wi-Fi routers around you. That's in the Android code. That is not in the Lineage OS code, I believe. So therefore, put tape on your computer. Tweet this, babe. Put tape on your computer, because there could be a remote access Trojan. I have an advice on how to handle that. You have to keep reinstalling your computer over and over, every so often. You should make a pattern of some frequency. Maybe it's every 6 months. You reinstall everything on your computer from scratch. Take your data out, reinstall everything, so to make sure that if you missed a virus and that got in there, that you got it. And then a way to set up security on your device so the virus can't even get a hold on it. It's in my video, Setting Up Your Computer Safely. Talks about having a admin account and then a non-admin account. So watch that video, how to set up your computer safely. It ended up with it saying, I can see you live on your webcam. Tweet this, babe, if you got one of those emails. There's that is the sex scam, sextortion video. That's fake. That's not real. I have a video on that. It's called sextortion. Okay, where it say, well, we know what things you've been doing on your computer. No, it's not a virus. Tweet this, babe. A virus is not gonna be able. A antivirus cannot detect a remote access Trojan. That's a different family of products. You cannot detect that with the usual means. In fact, I would say they're pretty much undetectable the normal way. So if you can't, so reinstall the computer and there's nothing on there. But if you got an email saying that they are watching you through the webcam, laugh at that and don't worry about it. It's false. Because if they are doing it, then it's false. Maru, why bother with that? Just stick to the usual. Okay. Back. Doesn't your phone track you? You could get a web touch screen monitor to give up the phone. Doesn't your phone? What are you gonna do? Carry a Raspberry Pi around with a monitor? Let's keep it simple. Here's the solution for today: Ubuntu Touch Linux phone today. Next March, maybe we'll have PinePhone and Librem 5. At the moment, we're stuck with these. Okay, so we're stuck with these for now. I don't want to be tracked even for the next few months. So I don't be tracked for the next few months. And so I'm going to use these because Librem 5 is very expensive. Librem 5 is $720 with tax. I was nowhere near the computer when it started saying my name and everything on my Facebook page. If it's actually reading what's on your Facebook page, if there's a remote access Trojan, it's not going to read your Facebook page. It's going to send it to somebody else quietly. You may have if it's reading your Facebook page, you accidentally activated the feature for blind people. You can make your own Pi phone if you can carry something that big. If you want to carry something that big, yeah, you can make a Pi phone. There's many instructions on how to make a Pi phone. So Yeah, I've heard of Maru. Yes. Uh, so anyway, yeah. So tweet this babe. You just activated the feature for blind people. That's not a virus. So just disable that. If you actually clicked on that and it says, um, because somebody taught me how to use that for blind people. Can you scan for open LTE or 4G phone ports? I have an app that can scan. Well, it depends on what you want to do. There is a external scan you can do using Nmap. In fact, you can load Nmap on the Linux phone. Nmap. So nope. What tweets us, babe. So what can do besides remotely activate the machine? Any access to home uh, on root? What can IME do besides remotely access the machine? Helvetican. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? IME has full access to the drive. Full. And to the network. Full access. It can format your drive. It can load any new software on there. It can put a virus quietly in there. It can do a remote access Trojan. It can do anything that you can do. It's a full. Basically, it can turn off the operating system and access the drive to NTFS with your computer, the main chip, being ignored. So, Tails is not practical. Tails is not practical except for spies because there's no persistence to the data, so you can't really use that for everyday use. I mean, it's good for one-time use and throw it away. Okay, so Helvetican, you got to be kidding me. I mean, talking about full access with IME. IME is extremely scary. Thank you, Bogdan. By the way, is there such a thing as Onion Router for phones, like TiOS for a computer? Uh, for iOS, no. That's why you just use one of these. This comes with a Tor router mode, so you can use this as a VPN or a Tor router. If you set it to a Tor router, then if you need to use Tor on your phone, just connect it as Wi-Fi. This is one of the products I sell. So you can use this, use it in Tor mode, and then you can use it on the phone. Since there's no Tor on iOS, there is a Tor on Android. It's called Orbot, but there's no Tor on iOS. There are fake ones. Do not go through those. Those are honeypots. Can they get into the router? Trust me, tweet us, babe. If some hacker wants to get in, they're not going to announce themselves by reading your screen. Okay, so the only thing I know that will read the screen is the blind program. It's called something access to make to like access on the on what's the terminology? Something to do with access on Windows. You have this is Android. Oh, then it's is it Google Assistant reading your screen? Google Assistant reading your screen? That's kind of scary. I may have more privileges than root because it's hardware level privileges. Absolutely. IME is the fucking scariest thing you can imagine. If somebody has IME access, I mean, can format the main drive. I mean, you can't even format your own drive if you're on Windows because it'll die. Well, they can from IME. So that's why it's even more scary. They can format the drive, reload the whole software, take an image of your software, modify it, put it back. So I'll be in and out. Got things to do. Okay. Well, I'm going to end the broadcast. This was on your computer. So, yeah. So, anyway, check the access thing. It depends on, If it sounds like a computer voice, then it's that access thing for blind people. Because a hacker isn't going to announce it took a picture of your screen. They're just going to take it. So you got to use common sense there. A hacker is not going to taunt you and say, "I got your screen." No, it's going to just take it silently, collect it, and then send it back to you later. Okay. Does Periscope pay? Hardly. Sometimes you're lucky. You can get $50. So yeah, Periscope can pay you as much as $50 a month. Really need fast and secure Wi-Fi router, especially for gaming. Yeah, this is not for gaming. No, I would use a normal router for gaming and not use this. This would be for non-gaming. So for gaming, I'd skip this and go direct to the original router. But for everything else, you go to this. Okay. So if you're going to go to certain websites that you don't want anybody knowing, then you go to this. If you're doing gaming, who cares? Just go to the normal network. Okay. So you're not going to say all of your traffic should go to VPN. You're not going to be VPNing your gaming because it just slows it down for no reason. There's nothing, no security breach on gaming. It's public anyway. Okay. So gaming is a public thing already. So putting on a VPN, there's nothing. There's nothing. Yeah, if you're gonna go to the deep dark web and whatever, this makes that simple because this is a either VPN router or Tor router. It's up to you. A VPN router, the VPN requires a subscription, but to use this as a Tor router, you just switch the software to Tor. There's no subscription. It's free. Okay. So have you built the phone interceptor computer? Not yet. Someone. I haven't had time. I really want to do that. I have all the equipment for doing it, and now I have a Google. That's partly why I got the Linux machine so I can begin doing that kind of programming again, because it was just kind of slow doing it on a older computer. So I got a brand new computer for that. So I've now transferred all of my work mostly to using the Linux machine. So I am, I would say 90% on Linux, 10% on Windows. So as of yesterday, so 90%. I have very little on the Windows now. So I'm going to have to use it only for making YouTube videos. That's probably going to be the primary purpose. Okay, if you send Super Hearts and Periscope, they do pay out to the broadcaster. Yes. What is the best Linux distro for gaming? That's a good question. I actually don't know what the Linux gamer uses Manjaro. If he's a gamer and uses Manjaro, then maybe he thinks Manjaro is better for gaming. I don't use Manjaro, so I'd like to try Manjaro. But I personally don't use Manjaro, and I don't do gaming, so anyway, that's one thing to check. See, why does the Linux gamer like Manjaro? Maybe because he's a gamer. Then run some Steam, and so Salient OS is well configured for gaming. Is Salient a Linux distro? I've never heard of Salient. Pop OS or Manjaro? Pop OS would be more of a security kind of like Pure OS, but I heard Manjaro. There were some bugs on my games with Ubuntu. So Salient is but it's not popular though, is it? So stick to the popular one. So Manjaro is fairly popular. I do gaming on Windows preferably. Well, someone to work fine. Okay. Want to switch to Linux next year because I'm tired of Windows. I'm going to be building a new or PC next spring, so it makes sense to switch to Linux while I'm at it. Yes, I will do more videos in my experience using transferring to Linux. This is not a very unusual video. Many people have done that, but I'm running this. I'm doing this broadcast on Linux, and it's you know uh, it's pretty amazing in itself that I really didn't find. I was able to do pretty much everything I usually do, just with different apps on Linux. I didn't really. I have very few limitations here, so I'm able to do everything. And because I bought a Linux laptop specifically, this is completely compatible. I can load any version of Linux on here and it seems to work fine. So I already tried 2 distros on it and it's perfect. So I had Linux Mint running. I'm on Ubuntu right now. I'll try maybe Pure OS and see how all that works. Hello, Christopher Godizy. Welcome back. Uh, Rob is a gamer created by the Salient OS forked and well-respected developer. Okay. Um, so FreeBSD is faster. FreeBSD is Unix. FreeBSD is not Linux. Starlab, yeah, this laptop I'm broadcasting on is a Starlab Top Mark III Ultrabook, and it's the same exact specs as my HP Spectre X360. So minus the touchscreen. HP Spectre has a touchscreen which I've never used, don't like to use. So, but this one has everything else. So I like using. So far, I have a few gripes, but it's not nothing major. So looks like I'm all set. I'm gonna be doing all my work on this Linux machine, and I buy a computer every year, sometimes 2 computers a year. It's because of what I do. I have to be at the top edge of technology for what I do. So I'm a frequent buyer of tech. So look how many phones I have here just in this stack. And I have more. This is just for me. Okay? I can't even tell you how many phones are in this household. I lost track. Okay? Lost track. Facepalm. Oh, here we go again. Whatever it works for you, go for it. I love my new Apple Spy Phone 11 and Apple Watch Series 5. However, I've been calling in and writing to Apple about FB spying on us and to build us a antenna switch. What is the antenna switch supposed to do? Nexus 4 or 5? Nexus 5 only. You don't want to use a 4. It's kind of slow. 5. Okay. Leave your iOS and Android at home. Be safe. For today, either use a BlackBerry Bold if you're not going to use anything else but texting and voice, or use Ubuntu Linux on a Nexus 5 or OnePlus One. That's what I suggest. Okay? Leave your iOS at home. Yeah. So Christopher, you the antenna itself isn't sufficient to be shut down. So, uh, one of the things that somebody was telling me, was that you wanted to put a switch to the antenna, but anytime you put any kind of wire on an antenna to switch it off, the switch has to be at the antenna itself. It can't be remote to the antenna, because you're creating a extra circuit for the antenna. Anyone who knows antenna, electronics, knows that you cannot change the length of the antenna. So by putting any extra wires in there, you can't do that. So it cannot be switched at the antenna end. It has to be switched at some other point other than the antenna, because you will change the resonance of the antenna. And I'm saying this as a, you know, as a ham radio license operator. So, and I have a general license, so I should know what I'm talking about as part of the test. Okay, so I should know what I'm talking about. And yeah, so you cannot put a switch on the antenna. You have to put it in the circuitry behind it so that you don't get resonance. Like switch off a transistor or something along the way. Nokia owns Unix at the moment, I believe. Uh, Somebody owns Unix now? Didn't uh, for a while it was owned by the workstation company Sun Microsystems. I thought Sun Microsystems had it. Yeah, I was gonna get an extra license and I ran out of time. I went on Apple to build what you're teaching us about. Oh, I would buy an iOS phone if it had a hardware switch. Oh my gosh, I'd be right on top of that. Right on top of that. I would be so supportive of, I'd be speaking positively about Apple if they, and Google, if they actually said, we'll build a hardware switch. That would be fantastic. Is Sun Microsystem in business? I haven't heard in a while. Uh, well, they were a big company before. I actually don't know what happened. Somebody can tell me what happened to Sun Microsystems. Oracle purchased Sun. Okay, that's what I thought happened. Okay, so that means Oracle now owns Unix then. So, yeah. So somebody owns Unix. So FreeBSD is the free version of Unix. It's a Unix clone. So BSD is a Unix clone. Linux is not really Unix. It's similar though. Linux is not Unix, and the reason is they didn't want to get into copyright issues, so they actually have a different kernel. The new 4K TVs next year will spy on us. Oh, I'm sure they're already doing that now with your Samsung TVs. So, so Nokia owns Unix now. So what? They bought it. Oracle owns everything. So Oracle owns everything. What are you talking about? They even own MySQL and everything else. So Unix was sold separately. Interesting. Okay, that's I don't know. I'm not gonna go make any claim. I'm just saying I know it was used to be Sun. Sun bought. I believe back in the old days, Sun bought SCO Unix. So okay, Christopher, I don't know why that comment was edited there. I'm going to have to read the wiki. Uh, the ATSC3 will have the ability to see what channels we watch. Never ends, does it? Never ends. And then even if the TV doesn't spy on you, your phone will listen to the channel. So fortunately, I don't watch TV. Zuck you, people on TV watchers or whatever. I don't watch TV. I'm on YouTube. Yeah, no, nobody watches TV anymore. Google's getting more health data, acquiring Fitbit. Santa SEO, yes. Oh, there's Simon. Yeah, I used to work. The most of the Unix work I did was on SEO because I didn't on mainframes. I used IBM because Unix was used by DEX and those other platforms. I didn't use that, but I used SEO Unix on the smaller device on the IBM PC machines. They use SEO Unix, and that's what I used. So Google's getting more health data. Yes. Okay. So anyway, um, uh, to close out the broadcast, let me just again remind you. So if I am buying these uh, when I can, and I get a few of them only a week, and they move very fast. So I think I only have one left of this, and yeah, I mean I moved fast. I mean I announced it here, and the next day it was all gone. So some of you already got shipped your Ubuntu Touch. I preload Ubuntu on. If you are one of those that I sent an Ubuntu Touch to, let me just say that I preload some software on here, including Braxme, and I do preload Twitter and YouTube and so on, and I even preload Google Maps. And you're saying why is he loading Google Maps and Mail? Because it won't spy on you unless you run it. Okay, so just having it on here, I just figured in an emergency you might need it, and rather than search for it, I just preload it there. If you're not going to use it, you can delete it. Just tap on it like app on an iOS device, do a long touch, and then you can remove the app. Okay? Can we install GNU Linux on any of the modern phones? Yeah, this is not too modern, but this is a Nexus 5. It's running GNU Linux. The new GNU Linux phones that are running, that are going to be newer, are the Librem 5 and the Pine phone, which is not yet available to most of us. So they'll probably be in mass production, you know, first quarter of next year, maybe a little later than that. So for mass production, if you want to order one, you may not get one for till summer. So in the meantime, I'm using this. This is running Ubuntu Touch GNU Linux. Okay. Can we install Docker on Android? You cannot install any Android anything on GNU Linux. It's just Linux. I've tried searching for it but didn't find it. Searching for what? So the only Linux option for a phone today are in my videos. Hello, Ali. PinePhone will be running any kind of operating system because they don't really make the software, and certainly will be running Ubuntu Touch as well. PinePhones will run Ubuntu Touch. They're planning on that. So if you want to learn about Linux phones, they're all in my videos. There are only two coming out. So that's Librem 5 and PinePhone. These are old phones repurposed to run Linux. That's the only option today. Okay, as of today, old phones repurposed to Linux. If you want a new phone repurposed that uses Linux, you're going to have to pre-order. And you may not get it for a long time. Long time. I ordered last summer. Don't expect it till March. Okay? Starlight, a impossible task costing a lot of money, which is read the process that Purism went through, where multiple engineers had to go build docking hardware for it. So, make some sense. It's not very hard to do. Any comments I missed in here before I go? Did I miss any other comments? Purism, Starlight, the one that made the Librem 5, they have videos talking about the process they went through to build a phone from scratch. It's extremely difficult. So the only option most companies do is take Android and just use Android and then modify slightly, and they say we have a different phone, but it's really just running Android. Read it, watch the videos. Go to purism. Come on, research. How am I going to play a song, Ali? There's no piano anymore. I'm no longer in the piano area. Okay, so anyway, again, you can reach me on uh, 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 fake name. I don't need a lot of history of the. I may not know their current status, but I worked with all the old OSs myself with my actual hands. So it's not theory to me. I've worked with all those platforms. I started on IBM mainframes. Fake name. So it's not theory to me. So the theory may be to know what happened today, but I know what had happened in the past. Okay? So I know the history of the OS. I just don't know the current status of some of them. So don't know the status of some of them. Anyway, thank you for coming, and consider my store with some of these products. rob.brax.me, and there's a camera that comes with this too. Okay. Okay, so Starlight, that's not today's topic, but thank you for asking. Okay, good night, guys, and see you next week in a video. Good night. Good night.